car on her own.
Right.
Right, because now if he says you can have it, but I want to give you something that you can handle. It's not going to.
We always hear him.
No, we always hear him before the fact. Right. And one thing happened to me as well, like a little side job I do with the pallets and everything. There was this business, it's a fruit stand. He had like 300 pallets just sitting in the back of his store. And I approached him and I said, would you like to get rid of some of your pallets back there? No, I want to get rid of pallets. No, I sell them. How much do you sell them for? I sell them for $2. Well, I only get $2.75 for the pallet, so I'm not going to buy the pallet for $2. Right. So I told him, I said, would you take anything less? He was like, no, and kind of me off. I was like, all right. A week went by, 2 weeks went by. I go back by the place, he still got all these pallets. So someone said, stop in there and I talk to him again. So I stopped, go in there and talk to him again. Same deal. I want to sell the pallets for $2. And he said, I get cards. People leave me cards. I got stacks of cards of people that wanted to buy these pallets. Well, I said, well, I don't have a business card. So I don't have a business card. So he gave me his number. He says, well, I'm kind of busy right now. Call me later. So I called him later and I talked to him. I was like, first off, what I did was I called a client who I have that buys pallets from me. And he says, I'll give you $7 for the pallet if it's a certain pallet. So a light went off. Bing. Okay, so now I can buy the pallets for $2. He don't know what kind of pallet he has back there. I know what kind of pallet he has back there. And so I went back to him, called him. I said, listen, all right, I'll buy the pallets from you for $2. He said, all right, well, how many are you going to buy? I said, I'll buy 100 of them. And he's like, all right, well, come in and we'll talk about it. Okay. So I get there, right, and not only did he sell me the pallets, and only me the pallets, he gave me the keys to the fork truck, and he said, go through it and pick out whatever pallet you want. And I didn't have a business card. He got a stack of business cards for people that want those pallets, but he didn't call none of them. He dealt with me and only me. And he said, take your time, go through them, and pick out the pallets you want. So me and my brother, my cousin, we went through about 250 pallets just to get certain ones out that I needed for my business, and took off. Now, he still got pallets, but he ain't got no $7 pallets. He still got $2 pallets. I got all the $7 pallets out for $2. So that's like being in tune with him, because you can hear Yahweh. You can hear him, tell you to do things that you want to do and that you need to do. So we have to be able to hear his directions. It's that little voice in our head that tells us to turn here or to do certain things. And sometimes we don't know why we do stuff. So that goes back to, just taking his order without knowing what it is we need to do. Like, for example, Omar didn't know that he needed to talk to you for the car. If only he had just taken the order that Yahweh said, talk to him, you would solve your problem. So, Proverbs, I read that already. Proverbs 20 and 24 says, the Lord directs our steps. So why do we try to understand everything along the way? This is where we start getting into the whys. Why I have to go see this person. you know, because that, and then he answers you, and you get the bing, and you're like, bing, okay, this is why I got to answer. This is why I got to go see this person, because that person has something for you. If Yahweh tells you to go see a certain person, don't ask him why. Because if he wants you to see somebody, best believe that person has something for you. And don't be like, I ain't speaking to her. I ain't going to her. I ain't talking to him. I ain't going over there. I'm not going to their house. If Yahweh tells you to do something, that's an order. Follow the order. Because it's a praise coming at the end of that order. Why my car break down here? And we get mad. Why my car break down right here? Right here. It broke down right here. Did you stop to look around to see that you were in a safe place? Did you notice all the people that came to your assistance to help you? Did you notice people that had phones, if your phone was dead, that stopped and said, you want to use my phone, or you need help? Can I get you out of the way? Or a cop so happens to drive by, stops and helps you. Have you ever broke down in your car? Has anybody ever broke down in a car but wasn't in a spot that you couldn't get help? Right? Because if you couldn't get help, would you be sitting right here? Why don't I have any money? Why don't I have any money? And you ask yourself, why don't I have no money? And then he says, did you do what I told you to do? No. No, I didn't. No, I didn't go to that class. No, I didn't speak up for myself to get a raise. No, I didn't stay overtime and it was given to me. No, I didn't check my account balance. No, I didn't. You know, whose fault is that? You don't have any money. It's your fault. Why am I getting sick? You ask yourself, why am I getting sick? Could it be it's what you're eating? Because there is a law, there is an order of eating. So in conclusion, let's be a lot nicer to people that serve us when we give our order, and let's follow in the order that Yah has laid out for us. And if we don't know what that is, continue to serve, and he will reveal it. And that's it. Anybody have any questions, comments? Your order's up.
So do you think that we should prophesy to ourselves? Like, I mean, actually say, I have a word for you. Me? Yes, you.
Yeah, me. You looking in the mirror, right?
Yes. And then self, you say yes. The word of the Lord is speaking to you. Blah, 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 blah. I think it might sound crazy, but I think if we get in the habit of prophesying to ourselves, seeing ourselves, and prophesying to ourselves, well, so believing it. Not to say, but today's a good day. But actually look in the mirror and prophesy to you.
Yeah, I think that's good, Pop. But if we're in tune with him and we know his voice, is that like an extra step? If we hear and follow what he tells.
Said, how said, you got a word for everybody else,
right?
And the word is accurate,
right?
So when I can that same word be accurate when you speak to you.
The Lord's given me words for myself, and I think he does it when I'm in the car all the time, like going to work, wrecking me, messing me up. There's plenty of times he's given me words for me, and I'll write them down, and I'm jacked up, as if somebody else gave me a word. And I know it's him because I just ramble on like I'm giving a word to somebody else, and I'm crying, and I'm like, and he's telling me you're being ridiculous, and he's talking about me to me, and I'm like, I know it's you, because why would I say I'm ridiculous to myself, you know? It's like, so he gives me words all the time, and when he gives me words for myself, it's like, wow, you feel great, and sometimes he needs to speak to you, like we speak to other people all the time, like Omar said, but how often do we give a word to us? Like, we need replenishing too. We prophesy to everybody else. Sometimes we need to hear it for us too. But there's plenty of times when he gives me a word. Because it's different than saying, yeah, I believe that things are going to work out. I know that I'm going to overcome this thing. But to actually hear a word for yourself from him, it does something totally different for you. Mm-hmm. It's different.
Just a comment on speaking a word to yourself. I think, as training as prophets, we put our faith in knowing that when we get a word, somebody comes before us and we speak it to them, we know it's going to happen. We don't necessarily build the same faith when we do it to ourselves, right? So the other half of the word is, the person receiving the word and having faith that it fulfills itself, right? So when we as prophets try to speak in our own lives, we don't have that same faith that we have as we speaking into somebody else's in front of us, right? The same word is coming to us. We hear the same thing, right? Whether we're talking to somebody or we hear it for ourselves, it's just the fact that we don't, like when we were learning to prophesy to people, it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. You sure you hear that right? Am I right? Am I right? You don't get that visual confirmation from yourself, right? But I think the same faith that we build up, and when we speak a word, it's true for whoever it is, whether it be ourselves or whoever we're speaking to. I think that's the part we're missing, is like we need to trust that that word is for us. And all that other stuff, he's going to fulfill the words that he has for us, all of those other things. But we just need to have the same faith that we have when speaking to others that we have when we speak to ourselves. And I think that'll be key, when you hear a word for yourself, make sure that you believe the word is for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Pick up where he just left off,
Yeah.
and say that a lot of it comes from our inability to believe that we're worthy of that word. And as you said earlier, it's the fear, and fear cancels out faith. And without faith, it's impossible to believe God. It's impossible to please him, to be able to receive the word. So I believe that first and foremost, we have to know that it's for us first. That the kingdom is right here, and those things are ours if he promised them, and we have to stand on it. Because I know I talk myself out of it. I know that experiences that I've had in the past, I don't want to wind up back in that place again. So I'm operating in what? In fear and in a past experience, instead of operating in the faith to believe that he's going to do it for me because he promised. And then he has to jack me up, just like Prophetess Lexi says, and say, why won't you believe me? Why can you believe me for everybody else and everything else, but you can't believe me for you?
Mm-hmm. But like Pastor Joseph said as well, with the faith about hearing the word, I think along with that, when you prophesy, like say if somebody go before you and you hearing, mm-hmm. and it heard, but you might not be too sure. But when somebody else go before you, mm-hmm. and they prophesy with you, because we hear, mm-hmm. it's like a confirming. So now when you go, you confident. Yeah. But then sometimes when you hear for yourself, it's nobody to confirm. So that's why our faith has to be strong in what we hear. And the scripture says faith come by hearing by the word of God. So his prophetic word to us is his word as well. And like Apostle said, if we prophesy to ourselves what we hear, then the word by hearing it should build our faith as well.
Prophet, that's a good word. Now, this is my first time here at a night service. I mean, everybody know. But Prophet Omar said something about we prophesy to everybody, and then all of a sudden we can't receive what Yah has already said. Now, he gave me this office, right? So I left, and I know Yah gave it to me. So I left, unloaded everything, and I'm sitting on the desk about 4 o'clock, looking out the window. How am I going to pay for this?
There's your why.
And then, then I was sitting there and he said, now look at all the people that I have blessed through you. He said, now what did Lexi say? So Lexi said, prophesy to yourself in an email a week ago. So I said, I would get my butt over here. But it seemed like fear just comes, it just comes immediately. It just comes immediately, and we gotta fight that. And like, ho, stop. But it was good to hear that Omar said that, because I'm thinking that I'm the only one that going through this. And we had to just that fear, it comes out like a rocket. It could be, like last week, I can say that I prophesied to 10 people all over the place. And they seem like they come back. And you're right on point. You this, you that. Guy at work. I said 3 months. I don't know what I said 3 months about. He said it was 3 months. Somebody in California. But then when it comes to,
Yes.
I hear it, but it don't happen all the time. But when it shouldn't happen, it seems like that fear come and try to knock you out. So I thank y'all for bringing me back. And thank Lexi.
Yeah, like how often do we hear a word for someone, but we fear not to give them that word, even when we're not in church, like when we're out and about, and we just have that fear, like they don't know me, and I don't think they're gonna receive it, and I don't want to be looking like I'm crazy, and but that person may have something for you. If Yahweh said, give this person my word, it's not for you to be scared, even though we are. But he's giving you that word for a reason.
This is not my thing. I particularly don't really care to speak publicly a whole lot, but I had to come and just say, I thank the Most High for that word that you gave today, because I am so supercharged down on the inside. I feel like George Jefferson when him and Weezy was leaving the old house to move to the apartment in the sky. You have no idea, and I'm trying to be reserved and conservative, but I'm telling you, I feel so radical right now, because you ministered a word that was personally in season for where I'm at right now. And because I've been questioning God about some things, and I'm like, God, and the whole, and I don't want to start a whole different conversation, but being a mouthpiece and a prophet of the Lord, I was like, God, where's the manifestation? I'm not going to be advertising I'm a prophet and I'm broke as 2 left shoes. I'm not going to represent you like that. You've done too much, and I see too many broke prophets who don't have 2 nickels to rub together to call their own. And I'm like, if I'm going to represent you, I want to represent you right. And even the point that you brought out in your message about stop questioning God and asking him why. I am the why prophet. I'm the why person. I ask, why God? Why? And he told me, he said, and stop telling me no. He said, stop telling me no. And Pop asked me to pray, and I was like, no. No. Find somebody else. No, I'm not praying. And and it's
then
like
how powerful you pray,
and it's not that I don't want to do it, but it's the fear, and I'm the type of person, I'll sit in the back and I'll push you forward. I'll motivate you. I'll push you, whatever you need to do to get there. I'll be that person, but I don't have to, I don't have to do it, but I understand. And I'm just so thankful for that word today because, we need to hear him in this hour, even in the little stuff. And when I think about Samuel, how Saul was trying to find his donkeys, and they went to inquire of the fear, and God gave him divine instructions, yada yada yada. He ordered his footsteps, and I just thank God for this word. You just have no idea, brother. But I'm gonna be singing on that highway back home tonight.
Hey man, I mean, yeah. So.
About that, what you said about the fear thing and how people have a word for a certain person, you be so surprised because you probably might like a certain situation I was in when I was out on the hill, and I seen a brother and he was going through something. Like he was like talking out loud, and the only thing I could think of, like he was talking to himself out loud, but talking like in anger. And it's a person that I know of, but I heard that he went into the deep end and started doing stuff, and people was like, man, don't mess with him, he crazy, this, and that. So I was just like, you know what? And then Yah, for some reason, brought to me Deuteronomy 28 when he says, when the people go out of my way, when they walk not in my path, they will be in madness, basically, out of their mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I was like, yeah, but ain't no way you could talk to this person. He was like, man, listen, if I'm in you, you can't fear nothing.
Right.
And what you got in your mouth is it might help that person. I ain't gonna say it helped him, but when I spoke to him and gave him a word, his whole countenance changed.
Right.
And the way he was still cussing, like, yo, man, yo, him, you feel me? But he was listening.
He received it.
He received it. So that's one thing that Yah has showed to me. Like, if you gonna walk and you gonna carry my sword, which is the Bible, you can't fear nothing.
Right.
Ain't no time for fearing. You gonna have to walk with your head up because you are the head and not the tail. Straighten that. And I she not here today, but she the old lady, she was like, when I came here the last time I was here, she told me to straighten my spine. Straighten my spine. And for some reason I was just like, yo, why she say that? Why she say that? And it's not that she was telling me like I was a coward or nothing, and I ain't take it like that. Basically what Yah, and the way that Yah was telling me, he was like, once you become the head, the spine gonna be correct and it's gonna be straight up. If it went over your head, I understand. But the spine is gonna be straight up. But in order for, because it's 144,000 chosen, right?
Right.
They all gonna be men. So they gotta be heads. But the spine, what's the spine? It holds the head, right?
Holds the head.
So you gotta and I guess that's why he spoke to me in this type term, because it's a lot of people, like I went to my cousin's marriage and I gave them a word, and that's where I got the spine thing from. Okay, and I'm not saying that the females is a tail or nothing like that, but y'all the spine, y'all the spine. When we form, we gotta form in that heavenly body. But back to what I was saying, when I spoke to this person and I was speaking to him about the things in the Bible and how it relate to us, he listened. And basically what I'm trying to say is, you like, sometimes you gotta face it, fear. Cause I ain't gonna say fear is good, but at the same time when you feel it and you know that it's nah, I'm not gonna say nothing to him because he look like, or she look like she ready to spaz out, this and that. It's a way you have to approach that person, because that person probably was told that they can't amount, they never gonna amount to nothing, this and that. The same way we fearing about how to come to Yah is probably the same way what they fearing of how they live their life. So they got to hear it from somebody who obviously cares. So like when I spoke to him, I ain't going I don't know, I haven't seen him since. But the thing was, he listened. And then when I walked away, I surprised myself, because I was like, I thought he was going, man, get my face. Nobody trying to hear that Christian stuff and this. He did ask, was I Christian? I said no. I studied the Hebrew Israelite. And once I said that, that's when he was like, because people know, they not asleep. Right. But you got to understand that the people got so much, it's been so much psychic trauma, and people got mental health situations that they don't want to explain. Right. You know what I mean? That's why we got testimony, because if a person, if you have a problem, if you got a problem with a certain situation, but you in fear of telling that, but you are in fear of telling your testimony, then ain't nobody going man up to nothing. Because your testimony might be the one to break him out of his fear and get him out of his stuff to make him serve Yah the way he need to serve him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what that fear, that's just an emotion. And I've been learning that, like, cause a lot of the times I listen, I'm not gonna sit here in front. I was a bad dude when I was young. I got picked on by bullies. Everybody I fought was bigger than me. You know, so it came to a point where it changed my attitude, but at the same time, it taught me how to be compassionate in this word. Cause like I could go out there kicking with my boys, and then they'll be like, yo, you be out here with us, throwing it up and everything, but then but they know that I'm the main one that's like, they call me Righteous K. Righteous K, cause you the only one that's like, yo, K, I need, man, nah, we can't mess, nah, can he stay, you know what I mean, you good dude, like they never, and that's cool, cause they, like, that's how I could tell they was friends, cause they never put me in situations that involved like violence, right. Like, I mean, X-rated violence, so let me just say it like that. Right. Nah, we not gonna get, why y'all ain't come get, and I'll be like, why y'all ain't come get me? Nah, man, we don't want, that's not for you, and I thank them and I thank y'all for him placing them like in their mind, in their hearts like that, because it made me respect them more, even though they still in the world, but they just fear some things, and I guess that's why they still in my circle, but they still respect what I'm doing. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I guess out of fear of how that girl might think like, oh, you ain't hitting the block no more, you ain't getting that money no more, I can't, you feel me? So right. Whatever is holding them back, basically this worldly stuff, or they ain't gonna be the man no more. And you come to find out that the fear what they fearing is not really fear, it's just you don't want to man up to some things. Some things you gotta let go. Yeah. You ain't gonna be young forever. You ain't gonna be the man all the time. You gonna get old. You know? Right. And you're gonna have to overcome some things. And you're gonna have to look it dead in the eye. You know, but yeah, like I said, when I spoke to the brother, like I said, he listened to me, and it surprised me. Because in the way I was like, man, I'm not saying nothing. And that's why I came up front, because he's like, have you ever had a word for a person? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that ever since I spoke that, now look, I speak to him now. I just say it. And it might come out harsh. Right. Because I had a situation where I was working at a job, I was working at the mission, feeding the homeless, and this female kept approaching me, but she had a dude. Mm-hmm. And I was never like that. I could never mess with even when I was young. Like that's why I could never mess with a female while she was involved with a dude or anything like that. No matter, while I was in the world is what I'm saying. Right. While I was fornicating and all that, I could never do that. Because it leads to you getting murdered. Because a man will kill you real fast over a female before he'll kill you over some money that's missing. Uh-huh. Or you could disrespect his mom, call his mama bitch, and he ain't gonna do nothing. But you mess with his girl, he'll kill you. You can see that going on now. Half of these murders is going on now is because of females. It ain't because of nothing real. It ain't because of no blocks. They want, we need that block, we getting on that. Nah, it's because of females. Point blank, period. Right. You know what I mean? But see, I had told her straight up. I said, yo, what type females? Oh, he just this and that. Like, I'm not gonna get on in detail. Like, yo, nah, look. And if you would have probably seen me or Pop, you probably like, Kenny, you know, you shouldn't even spoke to her like that. I ain't call out her name or nothing like that. But the way I spoke to her, the way she felt, she looked like how my daughter looked like when I tell her no. You can't do that. And I put her in her place. And I was just surprised myself, like, yo, where'd that come from? Where'd that come from? But listen to this though. She still with dude. She called me one time and told me, yo, I heard what you said, and even though you came out your mouth the way you came out your mouth, and I wanted to punch you in your face while you saying it, you right. She's like, it's not a lot of people like you. It's not a lot of people like you, you know, and I respect that. And I took that like a pat on my back, you know, and the thing was how I was approaching this situation. Every time I see her, man, I'd be like, hey, how you doing, bro? You all right? You good? You know what I mean? Everything's good. Yeah, man, like this. One time he needed a couple $2 for the bus. I gave him a couple $2 for the bus in front of her. You feel me? No, but at the same time, she knowing what me and her was, you know what I mean, talking about. And I'm, you know, like, yo, you know, that's a good dude, hold him down and everything. You feel me? Because I don't like that. Mm-hmm. But so when I told her about herself, it came out the spirit. Right. But I didn't say this come from the spirit of Adonai, but I know he was speaking to me. Right. He says, yo, just say it. You ain't gotta say come from the spirit of Adonai, just say it. Right. Just don't disrespect. But let her know what she need to hear. Right. So a lot of things come, you just like don't fear, just go in. Go in. Go in. That's basically what I got my word. Yo, go in.
Right.
You feel me? Even boxers get hit. You're not gonna step in the ring and not get hit. That's it for any professional fighter. You're not just gonna step in the ring and expect not to get hit. You might catch an uppercut, might catch a jab, but hey, you fall 8 times, get up 9.
True. And I was going to say too, just 1 second. I was going to say too that when you do hear a word from Yah, you don't always got to end with "Thus said the Spirit of the Lord." It could just be in conversation. Okay.
Y'all know I'm full of dreams, right? So I had this, this has something to do with everything, but I had this dream that we were in the church and we was around this table, and my only job was to press play. And I remember having this anxiety before I press play. And Pastor Joseph, he tells me in the dream, just press play, right? So I see, the little triangle on the thing, and I said, okay, and I pressed it, and then all of the anxiety went away. So I was talking to my sister about it, and she was like, maybe God is just asking you to ask him something, like ask him something. So I was like, ask him what? I don't understand. What do you mean, ask him what? So what happened is that night, I had another dream, and I saw 2 for 8. So I went to Psalms 2 and 8. The first 2 words was ask me. And I said, but ask for what? I don't understand. Because I do ask, of course, healings, y'all know my story, healings and everything. So she was like, well, maybe he's telling you to ask him for something that you don't normally ask. And I said, well, what's that? And she said, well, you don't ever ask for finances. I was like, no, I wouldn't ask him for that. Absolutely not. But I guess just speaking, what you're saying is sometimes, like you said, we feel unworthy to even ask for those things. And even though he's telling me to ask, I'm like, absolutely not me. You cannot be asking me to ask you for finances. I don't know. I just feel that, no, that's for other people. I want the healing. So like you said, I'm going around this way where my healing could be connected to the finances. You understand what I'm saying? Who knows, once I get the finances, certain doors and opportunities will be open for me to get to that place. So I do thank you today for that.
And he gives you your finances.
I realize why we don't prophesy to ourselves. And this is going to be the thing. No prophet in the word has ever prophesied to themselves. Think about it. You know why? Because they had the word of the Lord in their mouth. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think we get so caught up on receiving the word, all we're going to be able to do is speak it as his prophets.
Right.
That's powerful. And exactly. And our words will not fall to the ground.
Because how often do we say, I need something, I want a new car? It's already, you spoke it into existence, it's already there, but how often do we take the steps to go get that new car because we're blocked by fear?
Exactly. Oh my,
it's right there. If we go and they run our credit, we're like, oh yeah, you can get any car you want. It's like, well, I didn't think my credit was good enough. But you wouldn't have never known that unless you went into the building and had them ran your credit. We're so scared of our credit that it ain't good enough, we don't even approach the door. And we sit and we ride by this car all the time. It's a nice car. I wish I had it.
Remember the drought? Where was the drought at? In the scriptures. The drought was always in the prophet's mouth. He said, if I release the rain, it will come. So, what I'm saying is this: we already have it.
We already have the rain in us.
Learn to speak what you want and have an expectation. Yes. So.
Speaking on that, when it comes to, and I hear what you're saying, speaking what you want, but is it not true that when we speak, we have to speak by divine inspiration? Like, I just can't say, as a prophet, I don't know, I want $1 million, and then, it's going to manifest. I mean, doesn't there have to be
Purpose. I mean, I just can't say abracadabra. I want a suit like that because she got one.
Yeah.
right?
So,
Exactly.
but there has to be a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm speaking a word to manifest, there has to be a reason for it to manifest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It can't just bless me.
And didn't you teach us in the prophetic school that by the divine inspiration of the Holy Spirit, those natural inclinations come to us? So if you have a desire, it's not a desire, it's a God-given desire. That's how you'll know it'll line up.
Okay.
If that's what I'm hearing you ask.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're not asking a mix, okay?
Right.
You know that
Exactly.
you're asking
Exactly. Right.
for his divine will to take place in your life. And like she had said, I'm not gonna ask God for finances because he already knows what I have need of. So that's always been her mindset. He's a provider, so he's gonna give it. But he says if you have need of something, and if he's dropping it in your spirit and he's giving you dreams and he's giving you visions and he's saying, come and ask me for it, you have not because you what?
Ask
You
not.
ask not. So it is all divine.
Okay.
And if we're lined up with him, we're gonna speak out only what he gives us.
True.
That's
True.
being connected to divine.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question.
Let me answer that question. Now, when you say you want $1 million, he'll say sure, but then you got to take the steps to get that $1 million. It's hard work, education, training, diligency to get that $1 million. But we stop at I want $1 million and expect it to fall in our hands, win the lottery or something. You know?
Yo, you got to
But-
like Menard Jordan. You got to say you want $1 million and call for it. Saints, you got to whatever, Lord. $5.99 credit card. $5.99 credit card. $500 no, not $5. $599 for your word. So I mean, I'm
That's great. Okay, yeah, another question.
Auntie. But I'm just saying. All right, here's the question.
Okay, one more question, and that is, excuse me, what is the difference between, because, okay, I'm trying to balance this out, with the whole faith thing. You have somebody who, like you said earlier, you got to step out on faith, using the car example, you step out on faith, and you go to get the car. And if a person step out on faith, they genuinely believe God, the whole 9 yards, yada, yada, yada. But they come back, they didn't get no victory. They got rejected, okay?
Wrong
and
place.
Whereas somebody who seeks the Most High, gets a word from him, and, and he says, I'm going to provide that for you, blah, 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 whatever he says. And they end up getting the vehicle. What is the difference?
The wrong place. The wrong place. If sometimes you might get rejected 4 times. Then the 5th place you go to, they say, "Oh, sure, we got a car for you." So, like Lana said, it's a timing. Yeah. But my thing is this: if we see, we like him, like Yeshua. He was a prophet. He walked the earth. And whatever he spoke manifested. I mean, and he said, well, we're like him. So I think we had to build our faith up to where we know we're like him. And stop trying to be like us. I think once we change that whole thing around, whereas when you see me, you see the Father.
Yes, yes. Paradigm shift.
Yes. And that when I think his thoughts. When I see his sight. When I hear his words. I think it'll change everything.
And if you think about it, everything that we have, we own, or everybody who we involved in, whatever we involved in our life, you had to ask for it. You had to ask for the job that you got because you had to speak to somebody for that job. You know what I mean? You had to call up a realtor to talk to them about getting your house, and you had to sign it. So everything in life that you have, even your wife or your husband, you had to talk to that person, speak to them in order for them to be with you. So everything in life that we have, we had to use our mouth to get it. So why should it stop at wanting more abundance? Why should it just stop at, I want a car, and that's it? Everything we have, we had to use our mouth to get it.
I think one of the key steps into even taking steps, like you said, we have to do that. But I think one of the first things is just doing what the Bible says: seek ye first the kingdom,
Right.
and all these things be added unto you. Like Apostle said, Yeshua did those things. But one of the things that I noticed about Yeshua, every morning he was praying before he went and did miracles and this, that, and the other. So he was praying all the time in the morning, consistently seeking even him. And so as him as our example, if we seek first the kingdom, we always will have the steps and the direction, and won't be afraid if we have a consistent prayer life.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I said that earlier. We had to be in
I know what my experience on having faith in the vehicles that I got. I had got my one vehicle out of, because my car caught on fire. I was at the Lighthouse bookstore, and I was without a car for a while, and I had a dream. The Lord didn't always speak to me through my voice or speaking or prophesying to me. Sometimes he would give me dreams. Now, I had this dream one night, and I seen this man on a motorcycle, and it had DMV on the back of his shirt, and he had Nissan written underneath of DMV. So I said, okay, well, I was living in Newcastle, so I said, let me go up here to the Nissan dealer, the one right here on 13. Well, when I walked in there, the man I saw on the motorcycle in the dream was in the place, and I never seen him before.
Wow.
I never seen him before. So, I mean, my credit was jacked, everything, but I still walked out of there with a car because I was obedient what the dream told me to do.
Right.
Then this car I have right out here right now. I didn't have a car for a year because I got in a car accident and totaled my car. Well, the Lord said I was underneath of another man, going to him. I never really joined the church, was just visiting. He said, plant a seed of $500 to the man of God. I went, planted my little seed. Not even, then I heard him again. He said, go over on Porter. Go over to Porter. My mother said to me, I was way up in Audi, up at the Audi, and the Audi dealer said, no, being in the wrong place, like you said. Mm-hmm. Didn't have no car, so my mom said, take me to where I need to take it and take the car and go over to Porter's. I keep hearing Porter's. She said, Porter's. So I went over to Porter's. There was this little Puerto Rican man, salesman, come running up to me. Yeah, I got that car for you. I got that car for you. I was like, man, you run up to me like you know me or something. So he come up and I went on. He took the car, went all around. Boom. I said, look, man, I don't want to pay over $400 a month. I want full bumper to bumper, and if I can't get that, I don't want it. Got full bumper to bumper, got my payments on it $400 a month, and I drove out of there with that car. And then went back over to the place looking for the salesman, and the men said, there's no salesman work here like that. He said, there's no Spanish salesman work here like that.
You done stole a car.
So that's how I got my 300.
Yeah.
So
they still
sometimes-
accepting payments on it though, right? I said they still accepting payments on it though, right?
Yeah, I got everything.
So a couple of things with cars. I've always, leave me alone. So every car that I got, I've heard the Spirit with it. Like the first car the second car that I got, the one that I paid for with the black Jeep. I was telling Dad, like, you know, the Lord told me to get a car, and he was like, you can't afford that. You know, he wasn't feeling it at all, right? So I had went and I looked at it, and I came over and said, Dad, get in the car. He's like, all right. Then I'm driving along. He's like, where are we going? I was like, you see when we get there. You know? So we drove up to the dealership. We got out. And he's like, why are we here? I was like, I'm going to get this car. Like, so, you know, long and short of it, each time that I went, I bought in cars from 2 dealerships. 3, actually. Each time that I've gone, I heard the Lord say, go to this place. And I told the salesman, I said, look, you know, I need a car. I ain't trying to pay a whole bunch of money. And the Lord told me to come here. And the salesman said, oh, well, that's what's up. He was like, well, the good Lord sent you here. And, you know, I'm a believer too, so we're going to work this out. Each time. You remember the sales manager at with the green truck? Like he drove my truck around and he was singing a song that we was playing on the radio. It was Donald Lawrence. He came in singing the song. So every time, no matter how weird it sounded to me, because like I'm like, what's God, you know, he telling me what dealership to go to. That seems kind of small for him, you know what I mean? Like, but he told me exactly where to go, and they gave me They gave me exactly what I was thinking I should get for my car when I traded it in. They gave me exactly what I was thinking for with payments every time, every single time. So even in those small things, it takes the faith that you know what you're speaking into.
Right. So that because you're in tune with them.
Yep. It is
You're in tune.
communication.
Now, sometimes, like we said, we get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we get distracted, and you still can hear, but in your distraction, you go, man, I want to go over here because I like this car better. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you bypass that dealership where stuff would have been simple for you. But like our friend Omar here went to the other dealership and got something that he didn't really want. He thought he wanted it, but it wasn't for him.
Gotcha.
You know, so we just got to, you know, stay in tune and listen and take that order. Anybody else? Okay, that concludes everything then. I mean, goodbye, streamers. You've been away too long. Come see us.